And I think, I think for some of the time, especially brokers who are old hands, there's a lot of pride around the knowledge, and I don't need these systems. I know it. I've got it all up there. It's, and I get that. Having been an old broker, I do get that. Having said that, every part of your life, technology is encroached in that, and it's there to make things easier. So it's certainly not there to replace you. It's just giving you the tools for the job. Sort of rewind. Who wouldn't want an automatic washing machine? Now it's unthinkable, isn't it? But to liken it to our industry, who would want to go back to what you did, Gary, the old copy of Money Facts and going through all the things like that? Who would want to do that rather than going on a product sourcing system? You just wouldn't, would you? Nobody ever wants to go backwards, but it's about embracing things that help us move forwards. Absolutely, like you said, just to make you more efficient. If somebody can save you time, that is everything, because you get to choose how you use that time, and that's really precious in any area of your life.
Most definitely. And that's the whole reason why you become a business owner, with that mindset, or that blinkered mindset is what I meant to say, with the fact that it's going to be nice and easy and it's going to be better and I'm going to work less hours and everything else, and how wrong we all are.
Oh, yeah. yeah. Just hang your life up at the door, pick it up on the way out. Yeah, it's. I have to say, and that's so true. And I'm sure your listeners will recognise that, starting their own businesses, working for themselves. But when I started Knowledge Bank, I was still working as a broker, and I just worked day and night. Literally worked day and night, because I didn't see another way. I'm like, look, this is either going to work or it's not going to work. And my fallback position was, look, if this is not something that everybody wants to use, then we've got a much better system in our brokerage than a spreadsheet. So that was the fallback position. But it just grew and grew and grew. And then it comes that really difficult part where you think, actually, I've got to make a difficult choice now, because I can't continue to do both things. And then that's where you have that choice to make. But again, it's that belief in what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I want to pick up on something you said there, which is that working day and night and going through that transition. And we'll get into the transition, because there was a second thing you said as well. But when I got back to mortgages after 7-year outage building my insurance brokerage, I'd gone from a £750,000 a year business in 2015 to starting all over again with one PA in January 2016. So yes, I had a lifestyle and an income that we needed to achieve to support the life that we'd grown to, shall we say, because we all just spend what we earn anyway, or close to in some respects. So my mentality was, right, I've got to put the hard legs in now, have the sacrifice, short-term pain for a year to get the long-term gain thereafter. And it's paid huge dividends, into 2017 and beyond. So what was life like in that sacrificing point where you were juggling the two? And how much of benefit has that paid to the business now?
Do you know what? That's such a good question. And when I think back, when I take my head back to that time, and then sort of funny enough, around the same time, 2015, 2016, before we launched in 2017, and it was just, you know what? If I think back now, it's a bit of a blur, to be honest. And I think the reason it's a blur, because I was working every minute of every day, surviving on very little sleep, the social life just non-existent, just doing what we needed to do to get by. And that was it. Every single weekend you're working, it's just not an option. And actually you're at the point where, you might get an invite out, friends are going out, are you coming in? I'm thinking, actually, no, because I need to get this done. And you've got to have really understanding family, really understanding friends. And you know what? The thing is, you can't do that if you don't believe in what you're doing. I think that's the key thing. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, you just can't do that, because essentially you are putting your life on hold. And you've got to ask yourself the why. That's the other thing. Why are you doing that? And for me, it was always about doing the right thing by the industry. I could see a better way, and I could see a way to make things better for me and our brokerage at the time. But also I could just see a better way for the industry. I thought, this benefits everybody. It benefits lenders. It benefits brokers. Customers are going to get better advice on the back of it, because brokers are going to realize there are more options out there that were perhaps hidden away, or they're not on their spreadsheets. And that was the real driver. That was the sort of marker of success, thinking if we can break into the market with this, then that will be that will be the real, the goal, I guess, really. And so to where we are now, has it paid off? Absolutely, it has. I mean, if somebody had said to me, do you think you'll be where you are now? I wouldn't even dare to dream. In one sense, you believe you will be, and you hope you will be, but I think that so many times, Gary, people have said to me, you must be so proud of what you've achieved. And that's a really difficult one for me, because actually I've never stood still long enough to look back and think, actually, what have we done? We're so, I mean, me and the rest of the team that work on Knowledge Bank, we're always thinking about, what have we not done well enough? What do we need to do better? What's coming next? We never stand still and look behind us. But if I was to take a moment to do that, then yeah, definitely. I've gone from being a broker in Barnsley in South Yorkshire with an idea that's now launched into the industry that every lender in the industry subscribes to. They all have logins to. We've got thousands of brokers using it, and it's done so much good. So yeah, it is. That's made it all worth it. That was what that hard work was about, really.
Yeah, and you said the thing that I loved that you said there is the reason why and the purpose behind it. It was the same for me in 2016. The driver on those long days and horrendous night's sleep and all those kind of things, whilst managing kids and all those other bits that we have to. It's the bigger reason why. For me, it was helping self-employed people to buy and invest in property. It wasn't just the monetary side of it. It was not wanting anyone else to feel that pain, as that's now led into the coaching side of not wanting people to build a business wrong like I did for 10 years. And yeah, it comes across the way in which you talk as well. I can see the passion in you and the energy in you, and I completely get where you are as well. It's like I have a little stock and take a little look back, but actually I'm like, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
Why did I do that? That was silly.
That's the thing. And do you know what's interesting about what we've both said there is, at no stage does the money come into it. At no stage does it, because you're doing it because you are purely passionate about it. And if I rewind back to when I was a broker, I never did anything for the money. I would do the world's smallest case to help that client, even though the prop fee was rubbish. There was no protection on the back of it. I never ever used to cherry pick, because I always used to believe that you do a good job, you'll earn a good living. And that's and to be fair, you can't do anything for the money. It's got to be because you believe in it and you're passionate about it. Because actually on those days and weeks and months where you are working and you're getting very little sleep and your social life's gone to pot and you've decided you're not going to go on holiday that year because you need to get this done, that's what sees you through. That is what sees you through, the belief in what you're doing.
Most definitely. And this is the thing I like about this podcast is, we're here talking about Knowledge Bank and the benefit that it brings to brokers, but there's a massive business journey in what you've been up to, juggling two things, going from, running a successful brokerage and then going into a completely whole different business. What was that transition like at that moment where you were thinking to yourself, because no doubt you probably had the thought a few times, and then it was like do or die kind of moment, yes or no? What was that transition like, and how did you make that decision?
Well, it was a really we knew that that's what we wanted to do, but it was quite a difficult transition, because as a broker, you've always got clients on the go, you've always got cases on the go. You can't just go, oh well, anyway, I'm done now. So that transition period, actually, so I got my own brokerage. We had scaled that back ever so slightly, because as people had left, we'd not, so like a broker left and an administrator left, we didn't replace them, because I thought, I think I know where this is going. And then myself and my husband had a chat and we went, right, okay, what are we going to do? And he got a really good job. He'd worked in another industry for like 20 odd years. And he'd always toyed with the idea of being a broker. And we said, look, now's the time. If you're going to do it, let's do it. So he went and got CMAP qualified, spent 12 months training with me in the brokerage, and then took over all my clients and then took the brokerage over. So this was like a massive double risk for us, because obviously I was just about to leave that comfortable existence that I'd built for myself over the years, through the hard years to the good times. And just when it got to the good times, I thought, well, anyway, let's make this a little bit harder and let's start a new business. So that's how we transitioned. So that was a double whammy. And again, if he'd not believed in what we were doing, then that wouldn't have been possible anyway, because that was a big thing for him, to leave that security of that good job behind and the industry that he knew, to do something new. For anybody, that just on its own would be a big thing. But then add that to what I was doing, and yeah, we probably should have been certified crazy, but here we are, and you know, so that was how we did it. And do you know what was funny as well? You listen to little sound bites of advice that people give you over the years, and it was actually a client of mine, a really good client that I'd had for years, one of my best clients, and he'd built a business, a technology business, funnily enough. More sort of hardware than anything else, but technology business, literally from his kitchen table. And I was doing his mortgage, and we'd been talking about this and my idea and everything. And he said to me, he said, you know what you need to do? You need to stop doing this. You need to put my mortgage down and stop messing about with this and do this other business. He said, because actually, unless you give something your full concentration, you're never going to succeed, because you'll always be doing a bit of this and a bit of that. And I thought about what he said, and I thought, he's so right. I've just got to go for it. And actually, it's the point that I did make that transition. That's when it really took off, because I was able to just dedicate 100% of time, energy, thought, and everything else into Knowledge Bank, and know that the brokerage and all my old clients were being looked after by my husband. So yeah, that's it was quite a transition, but it worked out.
Yeah, and you can see how happy you are as a result of doing it as well. So your husband's still running that brokerage and looking after those clients?
Yeah, he is, and that keeps us. I mean, you know, every year that goes by is a year, you know, further away from me seeing my last client. So to have him and the brokerage sort of, you know, in the next office to us, it's great, because it just keeps it. The feedback is brutally honest, but it's what we need, you know. So every time we're thinking, what do we do next? The Knowledge Bank, what criteria categories do we need add in? And feedback is right there. You know, so essentially we are still on the shop floor. And the thing is about the team at Knowledge Bank, with the exception of the techies, obviously, but everybody else who works for Knowledge Bank has been in the industry, either as a broker. We've had underwriter, compliance sections work for us as well. So everybody really gets it, and that's just so important to us. We're not just a tech firm. Yes, it's tech, but we need to keep close to why we do this and what it's all about.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. The thing that I really like there, which you said, which is understandable because your husband's in the industry as well, but I have this in my own relationship, and I try and encourage others who I coach to do the same thing. And it's like, you need your partner built into the business journey. Yeah. Even if they're a housewife or a house husband, or they're in a different industry or anything else, if you don't keep them up to date and bring them in the vision with you, then they're never going to really understand why you're working those extra hours, why you're making the sacrifices, why you can't go and see your parents that weekend, or whatever it might well be.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, you know, my mum, for example, you know, she'd worked as a shop assistant for years. She clocked in, she clocked out, and she used to say to me, why are you doing it? Just don't do it. Just put your feet up. I'm like, Mum, it just doesn't work that way, you know? And so I get that. That's how I would liken to having a partner that's maybe got a different job in a different industry. And it is different. And actually in the same way that the likes of you and I can't get that clocking in and clocking out mindset, they can't necessarily where we're coming from either. And I get that, you know, that it's just a different mentality. But you know what? It takes all of us to make the world go around. But you're absolutely right. You do need that support, because when you're missing out on social stuff, when, you know, they're saying, come and sit and watch a bit of telly, and you're there, no, I just need to do this, or you're on calls until whatever time of night to your colleagues, you need somebody to understand why you're doing it and what motivates you. And that's everything. And if you've got that backing, that is everything. It really is.
Definitely. And it's that external support network, as well as what you said with regard to the team that you've got, on that collective culture and that collective mindset of, you know, what can we improve on, what can we do better? You need both the internal and the external and the internal to make it work so efficiently and so well. And
that's where we are so lucky. I've got to say, Team KB, as I call them, they're absolutely brilliant. I'm so lucky to get to work with the best group of people every day, and literally to a man, we haven't got a weak link on the team. It's fantastic. And I love it's that shared passion. It just bubbles over, and you see something will happen, and I'll watch people like sort of, you know, the wink goes up around the team. It's like, are we doing this? Are we doing this? You know, and we've had things like, I think it was last year, we had a broker on Twitter. Do you know what would be really good is if you had SVR tables, because we can't get that anywhere else. And we use a system called Slack. Of course, last year we were all working remotely, and we use a system called Slack, which is like a message board, internal messages. And it was like, I almost saw like winks and shimmies going across the team. I was like, should we do it? Shall we? And then, do you know what? They worked through the night and it was launched the next morning. You can't, you know, that, and they wanted to do it. So let's do this, because and it was brilliant, and that gave them such a buzz, and that they're working for that buzz to give brokers exactly the tools they need, and that's just it's amazing. I don't take that for granted that we have that kind of team working for us. It is fantastic.